Nobody is going to celebrate the hardest thing you've ever done. Because the hardest thing you've ever done happened in silence, alone, unseen, and uncelebrated. And that version of you, that's the one that actually saved your life. There's a version of you that nobody sees, not your friends, not your family, not the people who follow you online, who like your photos, who tell you they're proud of you. Nobody sees the version of you that wakes up at 3 a.m. with a chest full of dread and nowhere to put it. Nobody sees the version of you that held it together in the bathroom, hands gripping the sink, staring into the mirror, talking yourself off the edge of something you can't even name. Nobody claps for the days you got out of bed when every cell in your body was begging you not to. Nobody throws a parade for the moment you chose to keep going, quietly, without fanfare, without anyone even noticing you'd almost stopped. The world rewards the finish line. The world celebrates the promotion, the relationship, the body, the milestone. People clap for outcomes. They clap for what they can see. But you know what they never see? The years before the outcome? The 1,000 small decisions made in rooms no one else entered. The grief you processed alone. The version of yourself you had to bury quietly so a better one could breathe. Here's what I want you to understand, and I need you to stay with me because this matters more than you know. The version of you nobody claps for is not your weakness, it is your greatest proof of strength. We've been taught to measure courage by applause. If people cheer, it was brave. If people watch, it was worth doing. If people celebrate, it mattered, but that is a lie. And somewhere inside you, you already know it. The bravest moments of your life had no audience. Think about it. Really think. The night you decided you couldn't keep living the way you were living, nobody saw that. The morning you chose differently, nobody was watching. The phone call you finally made. The door you finally closed. The thing you finally admitted to yourself in the dark at last, after years of looking away from it. No one clapped, no one even knew. And yet, those were the moments that changed everything. Here's what we get backwards. We think the celebrated moments are the important ones. We think if no one sees it, it doesn't count. We shrink the invisible battles because they leave no visible scars, no trophies, no posts to write. But the truth is the opposite. The uncelebrated moments are the load-bearing walls of your life. Everything standing today, every relationship you have, every ounce of peace you found, every morning that feels even slightly lighter than it used to, is standing because of what you did when no one was watching. You think you're behind. You think you have nothing to show. But look at what you've carried. Look at what you've survived. Look at the version of you that existed 5 years ago. Broken in ways you haven't even fully articulated. And look at who is sitting here right now. That distance? That's not nothing. That is everything. The world just didn't take a photo of it. What if the version of you nobody claps for is actually the version most worth becoming? There's a moment in the life of every person who has ever rebuilt themselves, and I mean truly rebuilt, from the foundation up, not just rearranged the furniture. There is a moment where they realize something devastating. No one is coming, not to rescue them, not to validate them, not to tell them they've suffered enough and now they're allowed to rise. No one is coming. And in that moment, most people collapse. They interpret the silence as evidence. They say, if no one is celebrating me, maybe there's nothing to celebrate. If no one sees my struggle, maybe my struggle doesn't matter. If no one is cheering me on, maybe I'm not worth cheering for. But a rare few, find something else in that. Silence. They find themselves. There is a specific kind of strength that only grows in the dark. You cannot manufacture it in the light. You cannot buy it with praise or borrow it from someone else's belief in you. It is grown slowly, quietly, painfully, in the exact moments when no one is watching. Think of the tallest trees you've ever seen. The kind that bend in storms but don't break. The kind that have been struck by lightning and grown around the scar. Do you know what made them that way? Not sunlight. Not applause from other trees. Roots pressed deep into the cold, invisible earth. Grown in the dark underground where no one sees and nothing is celebrated. The tree doesn't wait for someone to validate its growth. It grows. It grows because growing is what it was made to do. You were made for this. Not for the applause. Not for the timeline where everything goes smoothly and everyone sees. You were made for the actual work, the silent, grinding, invisible, No one is watching work of becoming who you actually are. But here's what they don't tell you about that work. It is lonely, profoundly, almost unbearably lonely, because you can see the change happening inside you. You can feel yourself shifting. Something is different, something fundamental, something real. And yet the people around you are still treating you like the old version, still expecting the old reactions, still fitting you into the old box they built for you years ago. And that gap between who you're becoming and who people still think you are, that gap is one of the loneliest places a human being can live. I want you to hear this. That loneliness is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're ahead of where you were. It's the evidence that something is actually changing. You can't outgrow a version of yourself without the discomfort of no longer fitting inside it. The loneliness is the growing pain, and growing pains are proof that you're growing. Most people stop here. Most people mistake the discomfort of transformation for the proof that transformation isn't working. They feel the friction and they reverse, back to familiar, back to what is known, back to the version of themselves that at least fits neatly into other people's understanding. Don't go back. The version of you nobody claps for is not a consolation prize. It is the whole point. Everything the world will one day celebrate about you, every outcome, every milestone, every visible proof of who you've become is being built right now. In this silence, in this invisibility, in this exact moment when it feels like nothing is happening and no one is watching, something is happening. And it is the most important thing that has ever happened to you. I want to talk to a version of you that almost gave up. Not the version that gave up, the version that almost did. The version that stood at the exact edge of quitting and somehow, some way, did not step off. That version of you made a decision. Maybe it didn't feel like a decision at the time. Maybe it felt like just another exhausted morning. Maybe it felt like surviving by accident. Maybe it felt like nothing at all, just the mundane, mechanical act of continuing to breathe. But it was a decision. And that decision, that quiet, uncelebrated, invisible decision, is the reason you're still here. Think about what that means. Think about everything that exists in your life right now that would not exist if that version of you had quit. The people you've helped without realizing it. The conversations you don't remember that changed someone else's direction. The proof you represent, just by still being here, that it's possible to survive the unsurvivable. You did that. The version no one clapped for did that. There will be a day, I promise you this, there will be a day when you are on the other side of this. And on that day, someone is going to look at you and say, how did you do? How did you come back from that? How did you become this? And you'll think back, and the answer won't be some single, dramatic, cinematic moment of triumph. It won't be the speech you gave or the post that went viral or the day someone finally told you they were proud of you. The answer will be the days no one saw. The answer will be the nights you cried and got up anyway. The answer will be the moment in the car or the shower or the kitchen floor when you talked yourself back from the ledge with nothing but your own voice. The answer will be the version of you that kept choosing in the dark, alone, uncelebrated, to not stop. That is the version of you worth knowing. That is the version of you worth becoming. That version doesn't need applause to keep moving. That version has learned something most people never learn, that your worth is not a function of other people's attention, that your growth does not require a witness, that the most real things about you will never trend, will never go viral, will never fit into a caption, but they are the most real things about you, and they are enough. They have always been enough. You have been enough in your most invisible, unremarkable, unwitnessed moments. You have always been enough, the version of you nobody claps for. That version is not waiting to be seen. That version is waiting for you to finally see it yourself. Stop looking for the crowd. Stop waiting for the moment someone notices. Stop measuring your progress by the applause you haven't received. Look inward. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've carried. Look at who you are now compared to who you were, not compared to who they told you to be, not compared to someone else's timeline, not compared to some imagined version of success you absorbed from the outside world, compared only to yourself. And ask honestly, how far have you come? Further than you know, further than anyone sees, further than you've been willing to admit. Because admitting it means letting go of the story that you haven't done enough, that you're not enough, that the silence around your effort means your effort wasn't real. It was real. It is real, and it is the most important work you have ever done. You don't need a standing ovation. You never did. The most important chapters of every life ever lived were written quietly, in private. In the spaces between the visible moments, in the hours that never made it into the story anyone else tells. About you, your best work has happened in those hours. And it will keep happening there, in the silence, in the dark. In the version of you that nobody sees, but that you are slowly, finally, beginning to understand. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not small because no one has celebrated how far you've come. You are exactly where the most important growth always happens. Keep going, not for the applause. Keep going because the version of you nobody claps for is the one that changes everything. Show this to someone you care about and watch their reaction. You'll know immediately if they needed to hear this. Subscribe to Unbroken. There's so much more coming.